All right, everybody, welcome back to the Cain Stevens Super Show. I've got a super guest on my hands. Like most guests that I have, they're all super, but I think that this guy is actually extremely. He meets the criteria of the super guest. So I'm your host with the most, Cain Stevens, and this is my super show. And I've got I'm gonna give this guy an applause. Let's bring on Rodney Minzel, everybody. Come on.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Great, man.
So, I kind of like met you through some friends of mine. You know what I mean? They had mentioned that you were doing like a bike club type deal,
Absolutely.
and so I just thought it was so cool what you were doing. And once I kind of like became friends with you on Facebook, I kind of like I kind of like paid attention to your posts and everything. And kind of like
Yes, sir.
did the Facebook stalking thing. Because that's what I have to do, right, for show purposes.
For
And
sure.
man, it just seems like you have a trajectory kind of like I did. You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna dig into this for the listeners, and you already told me that it's okay to talk about this stuff. So let's kind of like dive into it a little bit without getting too wild. So you yourself, let's talk about the bike club first. Why
Okay.
did you start the bike club? What do you do with the bike club? And are you going to continue doing it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the bike club deal kind of came about um after I kind of got sober, which is another thing we'll dive into.
Yeah.
I've always rode my bike since I was a kid. I've loved riding bikes. It's one of my passions. And then when I got sober, it kind of I fell back in love with it a lot more. And there's a big scene with the 29-inch SE bikes, and
Yeah.
that's the same exact thing that I do. And so there's a there's like a big following. I have 5 kids, age range from 18 to 8, and they all the boys all ride bikes. So me doing all the stuff that I do on my bikes, got my kids doing the same thing, and we kind of got a following for it now.
Yeah.
So when we realized how big the following is and how powerful it could be to help some kids that maybe don't have so many positive influences in their life, we kind of decided to throw a little group together so that way we could maybe put some positive influences on the kids that don't see that every single day.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and that it's such a great thing because one, kids need to get off their butts, obviously. They need to get out
Sure.
there. So you got the aspect of having them riding bikes, getting enjoying like we grew up. I mean, I'm 41, so I'm probably older than you. But how old are you, I guess?
I'm 38, so I'll be
Okay, so
39
so
in
we're
just a
we're
couple
close. So I
months.
mean, we
Yep.
kind of probably experienced the same type of childhoods.
Oh, absolutely, for
Yeah,
sure.
rolling through the hood in our bikes, having
Oh
our
yeah, yeah. That's
friends
the
on
only
the
way you were gonna
handlebars.
tell if your buddies were home is if their bikes was there.
Yeah, exactly, man. But our kids don't do that anymore. Like I live in Southside Lincoln, and I live closer to like Union College. And I
Okay,
mean,
yep, I know exactly where it's at.
yeah, yeah. And sadly, my kids, there's not a lot of kids in the neighborhood, so they're not like they don't go, they ride their bikes a little bit, but they don't like do it like we did. Like when I grew up in Air
Oh
Park,
yeah.
especially, I mean, we covered that whole, we used to ride downtown from Air Park.
Oh, absolutely. We were the same way. I was a Havelock boy, so that's
Oh
what we
yeah.
did. We rode bikes from sun up until sundown. We That's all we did. That's it. That's all it was. Life was back then was our bikes.
Yeah. Well, and you're keeping it positive. You're giving them, which is what I loved about this story, and I think that it's important because we're going to be having the holidays coming up here, and I can tell you from a person myself who is a heavy drinker, you know what I mean, and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Through health problems, I've always struggled with the side, and I've always kind of like told myself I wasn't an alcoholic. But it was like,
Hmm.
yeah, but we all kind of say that, but then we all kind of like struggle with drinking and everything. And so I'm willing to bet that my stories are probably similar to yours and other people who struggle with it, man. But you got sober. So what, if you don't mind me asking, what made you what finally kind of turned you, for the people who are struggling at home, with drinking and everything, what turned you to where you had to turn your life around?
Um, that's That's honestly a great question because I still think about it until this day because
Yeah.
it was such an impactful thing in my life. I grew up not the best like the best kid. I was a troublemaker. I was a knucklehead like many of us are.
Yeah.
And so as I got older, I drank a whole lot when I was a little younger, but as I got older and I had kids, I kind of turned into a weekend drinker. Okay. But when I drink, I make the most terrible decisions. Like I don't think things through. It's like I
Yeah.
say things that I don't mean and I do things that I don't mean. And I would never do when I'm sober. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I kind of cut back to drinking just on the weekends. But then, I've been completely sober for 9 months now.
That's
So what made me get sober is I I woke up in jail.
yeah.
I had too much to drink. I went out for my birthday and I woke up in jail. I didn't remember what happened. I didn't remember how I got there. I didn't remember anything. I didn't know what I did, and I had blood on my shirt. I was inebriated. I didn't remember anything. And when I came to and I looked myself in the mirror while I was sitting there, and I told myself that I was never going to put myself in this situation again
Right.
because I didn't know if I was going to be there for the rest of my life. I didn't know what had happened, and and I'm 39. I'll be 39 here soon. So I mean, I'm a grown man, and it put the more fear into my heart, not knowing if I was going to be here for my wife and my kids. And I told myself that I was never going to have another drink again, and by golly, I'm going to stand on that.
Man, that's so strong, man. And you're doing it too. I'm sure you're struggling. I mean, it is a
Oh, absolutely.
struggle.
Sometimes it definitely is a struggle.
It is, man. And it's like, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I'm completely sober. I'd be a hypocrite, I'd be lying, okay? But
Right.
for my purposes, I almost died 3 years ago with heart issues. I
Wow.
live with heart failure. I'm on medication, I have a pacemaker, all that stuff. I shouldn't be drinking at all, right? But I
Right.
make
Right.
mistakes. I was a musician, for years, still am. The life of that type of lifestyle is like
Absolutely.
nonstop drinking. And so to me, I associate a good time if is I have to have a drink or I won't be entertaining or I won't be interesting to people. I mean, it's so sad, man.
Absolutely, and that's a lot. I do have a quite a bit of following on like my social media because of the stuff that I've done in my past, and
Yeah.
so I do have a lot of people that they hit me up and they ask me for tips and how did I do it, and the honest truth is you have to change your whole entire lifestyle. Like I don't do any of the things that I used to do when I drank. And that's simply because after I first started getting sober, I didn't find those things fun anymore. I wasn't looking for those experiences. I didn't go out and go watch football games. I don't I like I've actually cut like I don't even watch TV anymore. I completely cut TV out of my life. I don't watch sports, and it's because those type of things I don't really enjoy them. I went to those events solely to drink with my friends and to get drunk. And
Yeah.
so you have to, it's all on the people, it's what you're willing to do to get to your end goal. Basically, you have to try if you have to try a million things, then so be it.
Yeah.
I don't do any of the things that I used to do that put myself in that situation. And so far, it's turned out amazing. It's the best decision I've ever made in my life. It's brought me closer to my wife. It's brought me closer to all my kids, to my friends, to people in my community. I've healed a bunch of relationships since then.
Yeah.
And I've helped a lot of people quit drinking and at least make that step to want to quit drinking. And that right there also helps drive me to continue down the path that I'm going.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's fantastic, man. And it's like, when I've read some of your posts and things. I think one of them that stood out to me was like, I think you said something about going to the gas station, and the gas station person,
Oh
they
yeah.
they had noticed that you haven't been drinking for so long. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And it's like you're
Yeah.
making an impact to people, and even when you don't know it, be people who are just like a bystander. Maybe they're struggling with it, and they look at it and they go, "Man, this dude's getting it together. Maybe I should get it together."
And that's awesome, man. I hope I hope that I can do that. You know, that's real great that, you know, because coming from the person that I used to be when I drink, you know, I always tell people that if, you know, when they meet me now, the type of person that I am now, that's who I truly am. You know, when I was drunk and drinking alcohol, um, you know, if they met me when I was drunk, if that was the first impression they ever got when they met me when I was drunk, they would never want to meet me again, just because that's the type of person that I am, you know, when I was drinking.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then I tell everybody too as well, you know, drinking isn't, it just isn't for everybody. I don't shame anybody for drinking, because there's
Right.
people that control it, you know, and I'm, part of me jealous of the fact that I can't control it myself. So I had to cut it out for myself, for my family, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't shame anybody that drinks, because there's plenty of people, successful people, that can manage their lives and still have a drink and still, you know, not wake up in jail, and basically risk their entire future, their family's future, you know. And I commend those people, you know, but I'm also here to give hope to the people that are like me, that they can't, and it's hard for them to step away from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's a killer point too, man. Is yeah, we're not shaming people for drinking. You're absolutely right. Like I look at people who can handle it, you know, and handle that stuff in their lives, and I'm like, good for them, you know. If that's
Yeah,
works for
respect.
them, well, we're not those type of people, you know what I mean? We're the
And
I
that's
always make it
okay.
out, we're the wrecking ball, you know what I mean? That's what we are
Right.
when we drink.
Yep, absolutely. And there, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know. That's what I always tell, you know, because a lot of my friends are hesitant to, you know, try and hit me up, or, you know, try and, because I don't come around anymore, but they get it, you know. It's like you have to be willing to sacrifice whatever it is. I mean, I when I looked at myself in the mirror in that jail cell, I told myself I would do whatever it takes, and I would never have another drink of alcohol. And I, you know, and ever since then, you know, there is times where it's like, you know, now the longer down the road, it's really, you know, not a factor. But in the beginning, I'd be lying if I said that there wasn't a couple times that I almost slipped up and had a drink, you know. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it was when I was still putting myself in those positions and in those situations that I was going to drink. Like, I used to go watch a ton of football with all my friends, and all they do is drink. Well, even after I first got sober, I was still trying to go over and still do the same things that I was doing when I was drinking,
Yeah.
and it wasn't working. I wasn't watching the football games. I was mostly focused on the drinking, the not drinking, but really wanting to take a shot bad, you know. So you
Yeah.
just have to put yourself in a situation where alcohol is completely cut out of the situation, you know. I found out it's
That's the
detrimental.
hardest part, man, is when people are having a good time around you, you know, or at least it is for me. When I see people having a
Oh,
great time,
absolutely.
I just start thinking to myself, like, yeah, yeah, like I instantly start fixating on it. Exactly
Yeah.
that. And
Yep.
it's like
It's a
pretty
mental
soon I'm
thing.
not paying
It's
attention to the game. I'm watching everybody in their drinks
oh
and I'm
yeah.
looking at it, wishing it was me. Yeah.
Yep, it's absolutely a mental game, man. And once you learn how to master that, once you learn how to get past that, man, really, anything is possible. Like, my life has changed so much in the last 9 months, like you said, from the BMX thing. You know, like, for the last 3 years, or 4 years, up until this last 9 months, I only rode a certain type of bike, which is a 29-inch SE bike, and you really only do wheelies on those bikes.
Hmm.
And so after I got sober, I have another buddy by the name of Kurt Embry. Shout out to him. He's a real good guy.
Yeah.
He does mountain biking, and he's also a recovering alcoholic too. And that was another huge reason, you know, I went with him, because he has a group of guys that does mountain biking.
Yeah.
Well, I went with him to go to the trails at the Platte River State Park, and I rode one of his mountain bikes. Fell in love with it. You know what I mean? I literally went out that day and bought a mountain bike, and
Yeah.
I started jumping bikes. You know, and so, long story short, after that, you know, I took that chance. He's been inviting me out to go out for a long time, and I never did. Well, I took that leap, and now it's led me down to where I am now, interacting with, and, you know, I do a ton of stuff with the Nowhere BMX. You know, like, that's a huge part of my life now. You know, and big shout out to them, because they do so much for the community. You know, with people like me and you know, there's tons of people that go out there that don't even ride bikes, that are, you know, out there for the community, the friendship, fellowship. You know, there's a lot of people that are, you know, recovering from their own things, you know, it's kids. And so it led me down to the even bigger community that I was trying to start with the big bikes. You know, now I'm like, it's like an even larger deal, which is real super sweet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're doing the mountain biking is obviously fun, man. You get out there in nature, you're rolling around on a bike. I
Oh,
mean,
it's awesome.
it's just there's nothing like it, man. And it's just a good time. It's like adults get off your butts. Like it's fun to ride
Oh
bikes. I
yeah.
mean, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you can do it, do it. Um, you know, I've seen some of the bikes you've been posting and everything. So do you put bikes together and all that stuff too?
Yeah, I do. Like I help, you know, like I have friends with kids, you know, like our age, our age group has, you know, younger kids. So they hit me up and I help them with their bikes. And
Yeah.
yeah, I just have a collection of bikes. Like I own probably 8 bikes, you know, and
Right
it's
on.
just that's basically what took over my life after I got sober. Like now, even my kids, you know, like that's all we do. We eat, breathe, and sleep bikes. That's it, you know. So and it's real great for the kids too, like bonding with my kids, you know. Like I don't know how many times since I've got sober that my kids have just looked at me and told me how happy they are that I quit drinking, because it's, you know, every weekend you go from drinking every weekend, doing your thing on Saturdays, you're hungover Sundays, and then you're back to work Mondays, working all week, and it's a repetitive cycle.
Right.
Well, I've replaced the hangover, the drinking, everything with family time with the kids, and it's done so much for the relationships in my life. I just can't even say.
Well, now you are the role model that your kids always wanted. You know what I mean? Like you're a role model. You give them something to shoot for. It's just it's a great story, man. It's
I
awesome, and I
appreciate
want to
that.
talk about these videos, bro. So you loaned when we did our ghost investigation, Bryce and I.
Mhm.
You loaned us your GoPro, and there was some stuff on there, and so Bryce was like, you know, I want you to make sure you don't delete any of the stuff that Rodney has on there of the bike stuff. So I
Right, right.
asked permission if I could look through it, you know,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
they were dope videos. I was like blown away by it. So I asked you if I could even use some for like promos and different things, and you were cool with it. And I was like, I can't believe this guy would let me do that. But like, man, you're zooming through sidewalks, track. I mean, you're popping wheelies, you're doing all this stuff. Bro. I was like completely blown away by what you were doing.
No, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's riding a bike is kind of like for me, it makes me feel like a kid, you know, it makes me feel free. I forget everything that's going on, all my stresses, all my worries, they kind of just uh they they just go away, you know. I'm free on my bike. My next train of thought is where I'm headed on my bike, you know. So it's
Yeah.
kind of a feeling that it can be matched, you know. So when I'm on my bike, it's like I never know where I'm going to go. I could be sidewalk, through the street, between cars, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm a little irresponsible, you know, but that comes with the nature of how I'm riding my bike, you know.
I know I was watching it and I was like, man, like I was like, it gave me anxiety at times because like the way you were like weaving in traffic. So are people rude to you or are they usually cool when you do
You
that?
know, sometimes, you know, so what, when I'm in traffic, there's people get a misconception. Like I don't really go into traffic while
Yeah,
cars are driving, you know.
yeah,
I
yeah.
When I'm going into traffic, I go from the sidewalks and I wait till cars are stopped at red lights, you know, and
Right.
then I kind of swerve around the cars and then I get back up onto the sidewalks before the traffic start moving. So
Exactly.
you know, it you know, when I say, a lot of people get the misconception like I'm out here just riding in oncoming traffic, almost causing accidents, and that's not the case.
Yeah.
But no, it's a 50-50. 50-50. So half of the people absolutely love it. They're recording it, they're cheering me on, yelling out the window. And then the other half of the people, they ain't like it, you know, they're just honking at me, telling me get out of the street, you know, the average thing. And I
They
get
don't
it
ride a
too, you
bike,
know.
man. That's the thing. They're mad, you know.
Yeah, but you know what? And I get it sometimes. I probably give them a little spook too, because I cut through cars and they're probably just sitting here, and here I come on that huge bike
Yeah.
riding a wheelie down right through them, and it's the last thing they're expecting. And I have a JBL Charge 5 speaker mounted on my bike, so
Yeah.
my speaker's pretty loud too. So for you to be sitting in your car and then some huge bike, some guy pops wheelie come riding by with music bumping, probably startles them a little bit.
So what's your go-to, man, on I'm a musician, I'm big into music of all types. Like what's your go-to when you're rolling around? Like what's your
Oh,
favorite?
I just put it on Spotify, all the songs that I like, and I just put it on mix and go. I listen
Yeah.
everything from Adele, I listen to country, I listen to all sorts of stuff. I listen to rap, rock, I listen to it all.
Just hit that shuffle and let it go, right? That's what
Oh,
I do.
absolutely. And there's some songs, that get the juices flowing a lot more, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I have so many songs, yep, I just let shuffle play. That's a beautiful part about it too, because I'm covered from basically head to toe in tattoos. I don't have very much space at all. About 85% of my body's tattooed.
Yeah.
So you should see a lot of people's faces when I come whipping wheelies, riding through with no shirt on, bumping Adele super loud. They're kind of like, what the hell just
They got to
happened?
do that double take, man. They got to like,
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
so I would be wrong if I didn't mention it. So where do you get a lot of your tattoos? I mean, do you get them from Bryce?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Bryce's gave me quite a few of my tattoos. So I started when I was young. I was like the first one out of all of our friends to get tattoos. I was um 15 and a half, 16, and excuse me, I one of my buddies threw me a football, and I was looking over my shoulder for the football, and he says, "Watch out." So I turned to go look where I'm going, and I tripped and I fell face first into a fire hydrant when
Oh
we were in
wow.
junior high school, and I broke this whole side of my face and knocked out 5 teeth.
Oh my gosh.
uh, 3 of them came straight out with the root and all, and my back two busted straight in half.
Wow.
So when that finally got healed up, my mom told me I could have anything in the world I want. I chose a tattoo, and
Right.
I was like 16 years old, so I was like in school showing off my tattoo,
Yeah.
and everybody loved it. So I just kind of went crazy from then, and kind of been stacking on. And then when Bryce started doing tattoos, he kind of just used me as a sketch pad.
Well, yeah, the reason I bring it up too is because Bryce is a sponsor on the show now,
Oh,
so
awesome, awesome.
I'm good friends with Bryce. I grew up with him, but I might as well do a promo for him right now. So I mean, if
Oh,
you
for sure.
this is a great promo for Bryce and Sly Ink Tattoo here in Lincoln. I think they're the best place. I mean, my wife and I have gotten tattoos. We refer everybody to them. You get a bunch of tattoos from Bryce. Is
Oh
just
yeah.
an amazing
Everybody
person.
goes there. I've had two of my son has got tattoos from him, my daughters, my mom, my brothers, my cousins, everybody I know goes to Bryce at Sly Ink. He's the best around for sure.
He is. Don't go to Boring Bob's Tattoo or whatever. Go to Sly Ink, right? That's what we got.
Yeah, absolutely. No
Yeah.
doubt about it. You definitely won't be disappointed.
So there we go. There's our promo right there. There's some free pub, but thank you, Bryce, for being a sponsor for the show. I
Hey,
appreciate you.
and might I add too, Bryce, big shout out to you, brother, because he is the real reason. He's the real reason and gave me the push to even get sober.
Yeah.
He's been we were real close friends ever since sixth grade. At one time, me, him, and another one of our friends, Zach Ortega, we were all best friends, like day in, day out,
Yeah.
and he really gave me the push because I know his story and I know what he's been through and what he pulled himself out of to
Right.
where he's brought himself today, and that is absolutely amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I was trying to get sober, he was really giving me the push, inviting me to meetings, going with me to meetings, hitting me up every day. And at first, before the whole me waking up in jail, I was wanting to get sober, and I was dabbling in it, trying, and I would go a couple weeks, end up drinking, and he was still just giving me that push, but after whatever happened, yeah, he's just always been there, and he's really the huge reason that I am sober now, man. So thank you, brother. I appreciate that so much.
Yep. Shout out to Bryce, man, at Sly Ink. And he is great. I met him. I knew him in Air Park. So did you go to Dawes and everything then? And
Yep,
all that?
yep. I went to Dawes. Yep, we
Yeah.
met in
So
sixth
I
grade.
I probably you probably didn't know me, but I mean I was like I was older than you, but I was with like Mark Allman and all those guys. Like those are
Absolutely, yep.
yeah. You did you know Alex? Alex
Alice
Allman?
Almond, yeah, that, yep, his younger brother for sure.
Yeah.
Yep,
All those guys.
absolutely.
We all kind of grew up in the same circles. It's weird how Air Park people got bused to Dawes, like they
Yeah,
didn't
no,
like
absolutely.
Goodrich.
And it was like Air Park was its own community, you know what I mean, out there.
Yeah.
It was always like Air Park, they were like their own friends, and then we were our own friends, it's like their own little groups. It was weird for sure.
Yeah, it was great, man. It was great going to Dawes and hanging out with the Northeast kids and everything.
Oh yeah.
But so are you thinking about doing and maybe I'm speaking out of turn. I could edit this out if not a thing. Are you thinking about doing some sort of bike type shop thing of some sort? Is that a dream of yours?
Yeah. Here I'm kind of aiming towards next year. I was looking at maybe opening a small bike shop in Havelock.
Yeah.
There is no bike shops in the northeast side of the community. There is one that's just closing up and it's for sale. But I don't think the location's right. You know what I mean? That's why the guy's closing up. But here in Nebraska, we got real bad winters. So I next I don't know, I'd say March, April, May, somewhere in there. My buddy Jason Oberding owns J-Tech, and he owns a bunch of properties down in Havelock, and he has some commercial space that I might be able to get a hold of, and I'm going to try and put a bike shop in Havelock to service the northeast side of town.
That's awesome, man. I hope that you accomplish those goals. I've seen you kind of post about it a little bit, and I hope that that comes
Yep.
true for you, man. Because honestly, like I said, the trajectory that you're on, it's all good things from here, brother. You know what I mean? Like
I
you're
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
you're doing it, man. I mean, look, here we are. Here we are on the show together. This
Yeah, for
isn't a
sure.
big
Finally.
show, but it's doing better and better. And
Oh
it,
shoot, man.
it's
I appreciate that. I appreciate the chance, man. Thank you so much.
yeah, I just think that this is going to be a strong episode for people who are struggling, man. And trust me, I'm struggling too with it. I make a lot of bad choices. For me, when it comes to drinking, I get the depression hits me. I already suffer from bad depression, and
Yep.
for
Oh,
it,
I
I mean,
absolutely.
in there's no doubt about it that it's scientifically proven that alcohol inflates that by a billion. So I feel
Yep.
like in like a crowded room, I feel alone. You know what I mean? Like I could have
No,
1,000
absolutely.
people in the room, and it's just me and drinking and my sorrow.
Yep.
It's not
Yep.
great.
Absolutely. And everybody, that's what's hard about drinking too. Everybody drinks for different reasons. You know what I mean? There is, like for me, I wouldn't say that I was depressed, that I was depressed while I was drinking,
Mhm.
but I was just more caught up in a vicious cycle to where I couldn't see past it. I was making bad decisions. I wasn't so much as trying to drink to mask depression. I think I was just caught up in a bad cycle of decision making. Kind of blinded by everything. Blinded by all the lights that comes along with drinking, all the good times. That you feel like you're having, and then one huge thing too is the hangovers, man. I'm getting old. I can't do the hangovers no more. That they last for way longer than when I was a kid, that's for sure.
There's like it could take like a few days, at this age to
Oh,
get over it, man. And it's just the worst. Like when I was younger, I mean, I would drink all the time. And it was like
oh
the
yeah.
hangovers were almost nothing. It was just like I was just used to that fog. But now when I get
Oh
it,
yeah.
it's horrible.
Oh yeah, for sure. No doubt about it. The older you get, the harder they hit.
Yeah.
Like so I opened up my own small business a couple years ago, and that almost made me shut it down last year because of um drinking and the hangovers and pushing all my business back. I'm not getting to customers, and then the business is just getting put back, put back. I'm losing jobs, and so it was just a a never ending cycle that I felt like now it felt like I was never going to get out of it. Like seeing all the older people in my life, um, my aunts, I got a few aunts and uncles that all got sober too, that have been drinking their whole entire life. But then
Yeah.
I have other aunts and uncles that ain't getting sober no time soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
it's now that I'm sober and I can sit back and look at everything from the outside point of view, it's alcohol is by far the worst uh drug, I mean, that's out here, because it's legal, it's easy accessible, and I mean, you can ruin your life just in a matter of hours by drinking and drive. It don't matter, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I've
And it was
worked
definitely the
with
worst for
people who
me.
couldn't get through the day without drinking. I was a career electrician before I had my heart issues, and
Mm-hmm.
the stuff I noticed, there were certain workers around me. I would always wonder why they're so crabby all the time. Like, are they just like crabby people or whatever? But then as I started to get to know them, I started to realize, oh, they're like hung over every day. And
Every
you
day.
start
Yeah.
smelling it on them, and pretty soon, as you get better friends with them, you're like, oh, they're drinking in the morning, then they're drinking at lunch, and it's like, and I wasn't judging them. I just wondered like what was going on in their lives. Like I wish when I look back on it, I could have helped them,
Oh yeah,
talked them out of it. But I've always been one to try to like give people good advice, but not really meddle in people's life either. You get what
for
I mean?
sure.
People don't
No,
want that.
absolutely.
Some people want
You
to
don't
push
want to
you away.
overstep. You don't want to overstep your boundaries.
Exactly. But there's something to be said about all that. I mean, if a person if a person comes to the realization that we have, that drinking all the time is doing us harm. I mean, it's doing
Yeah,
physical harm too. Like that's the
yeah.
thing. From my cardiologist standpoint, I shouldn't. I make mistakes. I shouldn't be drinking at all with the condition that I have.
Right.
And it's not. I don't drink often. I drink it. I drink at like a social setting of some sort. That type of thing. But that's not okay.
Right.
It's just
Right.
I just the more I dive into it, it's like I really have no business drinking at all. I feel better without it. My body, I like balloon up when I drink, and I lose weight quickly when I get off of like drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Drinking is just horrible for your body in general.
And that's the thing that alcohol does to you, though. It also, just besides that, it does alter your mind, because I used to be the same way. I could sit up here all week long
Yeah.
and say, I'm not going to drink this weekend. I don't give a rat's ass. I'm not going to drink.
Yeah.
And I could wake up, because most of my drinking days were on Saturdays, because I'd work all day Friday and then I go to bed. I wasn't an after work drinker, but then Saturdays come around. Footballs are Saturdays, everything's Saturday.
Yeah.
So it was like guaranteed I'm getting hammered Saturday. And I
Mhm.
would even tell myself Saturday morning when I woke up, you're not going to get drunk today. You're not going to drink. You're not going to go out, because it was never about, see me, it was never about, I never really sat at home drinking. I always like to go out in the social setting. I like to go to bars, Mr. Popular. I know a lot of people, you know what I mean? I like
Yeah.
dress nice, that whole type of deal.
Yeah.
Hey there, fellow follicle enthusiasts. We have a sponsor that's about to make your beards go wild with delight. Brace yourselves for the one and only, the elegant Sasquatch. Are you ready to unleash your outer beast?
Cain, I've been waiting for this moment my entire bearded life. But tell me, how can the elegant Sasquatch help us awaken our inner beasts?
Oh, my hairy companion, the elegant Sasquatch has a treasure trove of beard products that will have your whiskers partying like it's the wildest night in the forest. From their aromatic beard oils to their beastly balms and buttery concoctions, they've got everything you need to make your beard sing with joy.
I can almost hear my beard belting out its own rendition of I Will Survive.
Your beard is in for a treat, my friend, and here's the best part. Every single product is handmade with love. Picture this, a team of Sasquatch artisans rocking their aprons and wielding their grooming tools, crafting beard goodies that will blow your mind. It's like a hairy fiesta of craftsmanship.
I can see those Sasquatch artists dancing with their combs and trimmers like they're on a hairy stage.
Absolutely. These bearded maestros pour their heart and soul into every bottle of beard oil, every tin of balm, and every tub of butter. They're like the Michelin-starred chefs of the beard world, creating culinary delights for your facial hair.
My beard is salivating in anticipation.
Well, get ready for your beard to do a happy dance because the Elegant Sasquatch has you covered from all angles. Their beard oils will make your whiskers as smooth as a buttery glide. Their balms will sculpt your beard into a masterpiece that would make Da Vinci jealous. Their butters will leave your beard softer than a cloud made of marshmallows, and their washes will cleanse your beard with a scent that's fresher than the waterfalls in the Rockies.
My beard is ready for the bearded revolution.
You can find the Elegant Sasquatch on Instagram and Facebook. They're ready to share their hairy wisdom, showcase their bearded customers, and entertain you with memes that will make your mustache curl with laughter.
I can't wait to join the hairy community and bask in the glory of their bearded memes.
So, folks, get ready to let your beards run wild. Unleash your outer beast and head over to Facebook and Instagram to find the Elegant Sasquatch. Trust me, your beard will thank you, and you'll be the envy of every bearded creature in the virtual forest.
Here's to smelling like a wild creature and embracing your inner Sasquatch.
Cheers to that, my fellow bearded brethren, and stay elegant with the Elegant Sasquatch.
All right, everybody, we're back from the I have a bunch of sponsors now. Well, by a bunch I mean 3 now, which is better than 2, better than 1, and better than 0. So I have the Elegant Sasquatch. So all you bearded men, it looks like Rodney's bearded over here. If you need any beard balms or anything like that, my man out in in the Jersey, Philadelphia area, he's got the hookup for you. Also, I've got Sly Inc. now as a sponsor. Shout out to Bryce once again here in Lincoln. And then also I just picked up, I got permission, got the keys to the city to promote Roots Music Shop. My buddy Ryan is the owner there. So if you guys need instruments, if you need anything music wise, even if you want vinyl, if you collect records, I do, it's the place to go. So go see Ryan, tell him that Cain Stevens sent you, from the Cain Stevens Super Show, and he might kick you out of the store, or maybe he'll who knows. I doubt it though. So go see him at that. So we're back with my guest, Rodney Minzel. We've been talking about sobriety. We've been talking about the bike club. We've been talking about just trying to get people hope out there, especially with the holidays here. I'm not quite certain when this is going to air, but it'll be within the holiday season. So
nice, very nice.
Those of you guys listening, there is hope out there. It's hard. The holidays are hard. People's families are messed up. People get messed up during the holidays. It's a tough time when you lose people and everything else. But to lighten things up a little bit, Rodney, let's talk about some of the dumb stuff that we've done. Just like, not to glorify drinking, but there's some pretty funny stuff there. I've witnessed some pretty wild things. I've done like about 1 billion dumb things while I've drank. But give me a story if you feel like it, where we can kind of laugh at it, just kind of a lighthearted deal.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Let me think. Not too long ago, so before I quit drinking, obviously I would go to watch a lot of football games with my buddies. That's all we did, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not that long ago, I drank way, way too much. Came out, was talking on my phone, go walking around the block, and I forget where I'm at. Got to call my wife, have my wife get up out of bed, come pick me up. And I was literally like 8 blocks from the house. I was totally inebriated. And only reason she found me is because she got the ping on my phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the Life 360 or whatever type.
Yep, absolutely.
You got to have it these days, man. In case that stuff happens, you got to have it.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I've been saved by that. I've been saved by it many of times.
Yeah. For sure. One of the dumbest things, I've done many dumb things. I went to a Metallica show years ago, and I was, like a moron. When you go to a concert, you're packed with people. I was in an area where it'd be hard to get out. I was slamming tall boys like it was going out of style. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
as many as like I would. But like anything, man. Once you pee one time, you broke that seal, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I went before, and then I crushed all those, and here Metallica's playing. I didn't want to get up, and so I made this pact with myself. I was like, you know what? And It's so sad that I'm gonna admit this, but I was like, no one would know if I peed my pants, right? Like maybe what if I just like pissed myself, you know?
Blame it on spill a beer all over yourself.
Yeah,
Screw
yeah,
it.
exactly. Like dump a tomato or whatever all over yourself and call it a day. But
For sure.
it was I couldn't do it. Like once I had reserved the idea that I was gonna finally pee myself, right? And I was like, I'm not missing this show for nothing. I couldn't do it. I couldn't squeeze a drop out. It was like my body refused to let me pee my pants.
So did you end up going to the bathroom, or you
I
just toughed
did,
it
man.
out?
I got up in the middle of like one of my favorite songs, and then
Oh
as I was
man.
coming back in, I like missed the guitar solo I wanted to see. So it was like it was just ridiculous all around. But I'm glad I didn't pee my pants, like the embarrassment of you know knowing that I peed my pants would probably have been way worse, right?
Yeah, but they wouldn't have caught it till you were walking out, so you'd been
Exactly.
all
They would have
right.
caught that funk on the other side, like unless I doused myself.
Spill a little alcohol, they'll never know.
Yeah. Man, I used to go to parties and we would play these stupid games, that like there's like the cup in the middle game. I don't know if you ever played this game or whatever, but there's a cup in the middle, and I don't really even remember what we did, but I guess like if you lost or whatever, like if I remember right, so you had to pour like these drinks in the cup, as you're doing it, and then the person who lost at the end had to drink it all.
Had slammed the whole cup.
Yeah. So I was always like
Jeez.
a dumpster for all that stuff. Like when people would dare me, like, hey, I dare you to drink bong water, or I dare you to do all this crazy
Oh
stuff. I was
yeah.
always the idiot that would do that. So I decided to take it to another step, and I poured a bunch of baby powder in this thing, thinking that somebody else was going to get it. And of course, I mean, I didn't even lose, but everybody's like, I'm not touching that drink. And I'm like, oh, you're daring me, right? And they're like, nah, no, we're not daring you. I
Yeah, you're
go,
daring me.
I go and I down this cup full of vodka, beer, everything you can think of, baby powder, and it was like a visceral, like immediately, like I blew chunks everywhere within like I would say within 30 seconds of drinking that
I'm
drink.
surprised you lasted 30 seconds, buddy.
I can't believe it, man. But like that's the key is like I do a lot of stupid stuff. I mean, this is lighthearted stuff. That's not even scratching the surface on
Oh yeah,
all the bad things
absolutely.
I've done.
Yeah, that's I don't have too many. I have some funny stories, but they're hard to remember because I was so drunk, first
Yeah,
off. And then, second off, the alcohol always brought out the worst in me. You know what I
it
mean? It was
does.
never no one was having a fun time when I was drinking. Everybody around me, no one was having a fun time except for me. You know what I mean? I was having a fun
Yeah.
time. They were all putting up with me. So it
I
was
w- so you were a different type of drinker, you know what I mean? Like I'll bet you were a good time and everything, but like everybody's different. Like for me, I would be like super social and super wild for like forever, but then I'd hit that plateau and like it was like the darkness would come out of me, you know what I mean?
oh yeah.
And
Oh
then
yeah.
that once the darkness hit, man, that's when all the bad stuff's happened. That's when I was fighting people. I'm doing all this stuff. I used to be, like especially when I would drink certain drinks, certain mixed drinks, man, it would just bring the absolute worst out of me, like make me a
Oh,
monster.
absolutely. Absolutely. That's that was the problem with me. It was always a coin toss, I could
Yeah.
be the nicest guy in the world, but if I feel like I'm getting rubbed the wrong way, man, I see red in the snap of and I'm gonna tell you honestly, 99.9%, it was all me. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
all my fault, my imagination, me mad over something that was nothing there, me
Right.
drawing stuff out of thin air. So yeah, it's always the night always started out fun. They're always having fun in the beginning of the night, but by the end of the night, no one's having fun because I'm making terrible decisions and it's just not a good time. I didn't
Exactly.
have many. I didn't have many drinking partners, as if you can imagine.
Yeah.
I had a couple few buddies that could put up with me, and that was about it.
Yeah. Well, what about you're doing a lot of other stuff. You're not watching TV, you're doing you ever want to are you into ghosts at all? Do you ever want to go on an investigation with
Oh
Bryson?
yeah, hey, Bryce was telling me about that. Absolutely, I'd love to come. I was actually told Bryce not long ago. I got a lead for you guys. It's Tecumseh, Nebraska. I got a
Yes.
buddy that lives on some property and said there were some murders or something that happened there, and there's a bunch of paranormal activity, and he said that we're more than welcome to come check it out. So
Dude, that would be perfect, man. You know, we're kind of like trying to plan our winter, you know, when the
oh
weather
yeah,
is
for sure.
like we want to do some inside stuff. But we, you know, we got a nice little group together between, you know, Bryce, myself, and Bryce's sister-in-law, Candace.
Yeah, for sure.
And we got a dope group, man. But we're wanting to add, we're wanting to bring people in, you know, like that are into it and would like to like just check it out.
Oh
You know?
yeah, I'd absolutely love to come along, man.
That'd be fun, man. Yeah, have you ever I'm kind of a ghoul, okay? So I always ask people because I feel like everyone has some sort of story. I mean, you grew up in Havelock area,
Yeah.
right? I mean, do you have any ghost stories? Have you ever encountered anything paranormal in your life?
You know, off the top of my head, there was one. I don't know if it was a paranormal, but there was one time when I was a kid. I lived in a little house on it was 68th and Kearney Street.
Okay.
And we hadn't been living there long. And I remember I had walked up, I had woke up out of my sleep. I was getting ready. I was walking upstairs to go upstairs and get something to drink, do something. But
Yeah.
I literally had dropped down. I don't know what happened. I like lost control of my body, fell down on the ground, and like laid there for quite some time. I'm not quite for sure how long it was, but I was conscious, talking to myself through the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like I was walking upstairs, lost control of everything, fell straight to the ground and laid there, but I was conscious through the whole thing. And I remember getting up and I woke my mom up out of her sleep because I was scared shitless. You know, I didn't know what
Yeah.
happened. I was just a young kid. But other than that, I can't say that I've had any type of paranormal anything.
That's wild, man. It's almost like you had like a seizure awake type deal, you know, like not
Yeah,
shaking.
it was the weirdest thing. I've never had anything other like happen like that ever after either, you know. But that thing it's always stuck in my head. Like it's
Yeah.
always been not a defining moment, but definitely a burnt like memory in my head, you know.
Yeah, it would, man. I mean that would definitely I mean that is something. I don't know. I mean, it's not normal, so you could call it a paranormal type experience, but it's not
For
the type
sure.
like it's not the type we're talking about. We're not, you know, a lot of
Right,
people
right.
say paranormal, they're talking about obviously ghosts and all sorts of crazy stuff like that. I mean, what do you make of all that? I mean, do you buy into it? Do you think it's a bunch of horse?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that there's you know, because I believe in you know, your body's only basically a car for your spirit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So when you know, when you die, I feel like your spirit, you know, leaves its car, and then I don't know where it goes after that. That's the big mystery, you know what I mean?
It
But
is.
I absolutely believe that, you know, there's like spirits that don't make it to where they're going, or in between. That's when, you know, they're out here doing what they're doing and scaring people.
It's I mean, that's a perfect analogy to, you know, like you know, the car analogy and everything. I like that, man. I just think there's just like there's got to be something to it. Like what I tell people all the time is everyone's not crazy. It's just like UFO sightings and stuff. You know, like
For
remember
sure.
the government was coming out, why they're coming out and telling everybody about it now is beyond me. But yeah, it's like people think that everyone who talks about this stuff is nuts. And trust me, I get it. I
Oh yeah,
think,
that's a whole nother rabbit hole with the whole government, why they're coming
oh
out
yeah,
with it now. It's got to be something, you know. They're covering. If they're telling, it's always like if they're telling you something, they're deterring you from something else. You know what I mean? It's always
exactly.
smoke and mirrors. If they're saying look over here, you need to be looking over there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, UFOs are so interesting because, like, when you dig into like the Bob Lazar stuff and all that, you know,
Oh yeah,
where
yeah.
he was there to reverse engineer a UFO.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
absolutely.
I totally
I know
believe this
exactly what you're
guy.
talking about.
Yeah, I completely believe this guy because it's
Oh,
like
for sure.
he's like constantly hiding because he's afraid that they're gonna like kill him. You know what I mean? It's a wild it'd be a
Absolutely.
wild life to be a whistleblower like that.
For sure.
But I know they haven't. I think a lot of it is probably just our governments have like this super technology and all this stuff they don't want to share with everybody. So a lot of it that we're seeing probably is just our own military with like the best stuff, you know. And like
Yeah,
other
but
but then there's
other
that other stuff that I know it's got to be something else, man. Stuff that we have no idea what we're dealing with.
oh, absolutely, man. They're For sure. There's no doubt about it 100%. I mean, everything that's going, the whole universe, everything out there, there's got to be something else. I mean, there's got to be.
I just refuse to believe in these people that want to believe in nothing. You know what I mean? Like they want to believe that nothing happens when we die. They want to believe in all this stuff. I refuse to believe that what we're going through with this experience that we have, the human experience, is for nothing. Yeah, there has to
Oh,
be
for sure.
something to it, bro. There has to be something better.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that 100%, brother.
Because I mean, look at how amazing it is. I mean, here we are, we're talking across the internet, right? We're talking, we're doing all these things, and I mean, it's amazing. Like, look at all the things around you, and ask yourself, like, how wonderful and how crazy life is, like that we could even exist. And like I give the idea, if you just look at your simple hand, right, and you look at all the lines in your hand and all the intricacies of your own hand, I think that's enough to tell you that there's more out there than just nothing, that we just
Oh,
happen to be like
absolutely.
bacteria or something that grew.
Every single thing, just like you're talking about with your hand. I mean, your finger, everything's there for a purpose. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Your ear, I mean, every single thing down to hair. You know what I mean? I know exactly where you're coming from. There's got
It,
to be
it
something more.
we just want something to believe in, and that's the thing. And it doesn't make us as human beings dumb, or it doesn't make us like sheep or followers. We're smarter than that, man. We want to believe in something. And I think this episode is a perfect example. I think this episode, we're going to give people hope with this episode. We're going to tell
That's
people,
great. That's awesome.
and that's what you're doing, man. And I know we're running out of show time here, but do you have anything in particular you want to promote while you're on the show for the Lincoln area?
You said a few of them. I'd like to shout out to all your sponsors, for sponsoring you so you can do your thing. I want to shout you out for having me on your show. I really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Um, Bryce at Sly Inc., good friend. Like I said, we've talked about him, and then, yeah, like Nowhere BMX. They're a huge part of my life now, and um, the things that they do for the community, and they help people like me too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're like family based. They're like people that you really, if you need help with you having trouble with your mental health, if you're having trouble with drugs and alcohol, if you're having family troubles, if you're having depression problems, like that community out there, dude, they're the best. Like I've been alive. Excuse me, I've been alive. I've been alive almost 40 years. I've been around a long time, and it's just something special about that community out there, the BMX community, in particular. I've
Yeah.
never gone across. The BMX community it's based on. It's not about how much money you have. It's not about what kind of bike you ride. It's not about anything other than that sport bringing people together so that they can help one another with these exact problems that we're talking about, because life's hard, you know what I mean? And there's no easy way. There's ups, there's downs. Nobody's perfect. Everybody has problems, and it's a lot tougher for you to handle that by yourself. So if you can get a part of a positive community that's like that, then you're gonna have 100% chance better at dealing with your problems, having people to help when you need them there, instead of just trying to deal with those types of things by yourself. So, I'd like to really shout out Nowhere BMX and Carl Hinkley and all my buddies out there that I ride with. They're all real great guys.
Well, that's a perfect shout out, man. And
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
if
One
you have
more
any
thing.
businesses too, if you have any businesses of your own that you want to promote,
Yep.
you're welcome to do that.
Yep, absolutely. So and if anybody that wants to go or inquiring, uh, about the Nowhere BMX deal, it's in Unadilla, Nebraska, and it's it's a free BMX park, skate park, scooters for kids, adults. It's a nonprofit ran. You come out there Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, about 4:30 to 5, and ride all night. They have a pump track, indoor BMX, trails outside. Just a ton of stuff, man. It's real awesome. So Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, come out there, look it up. It's on. They got Facebook page. It's on Google and all that.
Well,
And then yeah,
and Unadilla is only a hop, skip, and a jump away. It's not very
yep,
far.
that's about 50. It's in between 15 and 20 minutes east of 84th and Highway 2. So it's not far at all. They got loaner bikes, loaner helmets. They got pro riders out there that are helping, kids, adults. I go out there every single ride day. I got tons of people come in. Kids, I mean, it's just the best ever. I can't say enough positive things about that place.
Man, that's awesome, man. And I want to thank you for telling me I could use some of your videos. So, the week that I post this particular episode, I'll be running some of those bike videos and stuff, showing people what you do. And I'm probably going to use it for like some of my music and stuff too, man, because they're just dope videos. Whatever you'll allow me to do, I would do
use it all, brother. Use it all. A lot of that stuff is some of that stuff I think is me and my son took a trip to California.
Okay.
And I think a bunch of some of that stuff on there is from us when we were in California. We went and drove and went to the biggest SE ride out that was there with like 2,000 other people that ride bikes like me riding through the streets of California. So there's some pretty badass stuff on there.
That's amazing, man. Well, I'm glad to have met you through all of this, and I'm so glad that you've been part of the show. Feel free to come back anytime if you have something to promote, you want to talk about anything. But in closing, just give us if you have like a 2 or 4 words that you could sum this episode up to people, what would it be?
I'd say love one another.
Yeah.
Love one another. That's the biggest part about life now for me is love,
It is. That's a perfect segue, man. Hey, thank you so much for your time. And my message to you, man, is just keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing it. Keep the hope alive. All right.
Hey, thanks, brother. Much love. Thanks for having me.
Take care, bro. Thank you.
You as well. Thank you.